What's up guys, Trey here with Elevated Ectotherms, and in today's video, we've partnered with a company called TOXIRIUM to feature one of their hybrid enclosures. In this video, we're going to unbox it together, assemble it together, and set it up as a future habitat for one of our crested geckos that we actually hatched out here at Elevated Ectotherms. Without wasting too much time, let's get on down to the close-up. Alrighty, so when you first receive your package, it'll come flat packed obviously, so you do have to assemble it. We'll find a blade here. Use a proper knife or a razor blade, utility knife, not what I'm doing. Open it up. We're gonna go look at how everything is packaged inside of here. Lay it down so you can see it. As you can see, everything comes bundled together like so. And I notice here that we have numbers on everything, so I'm sure that's going to help us when putting it together. I have to say, so far it seems like it's packaged really well. So this will be our bottom piece. This is the tray that goes in the bottom. Here we have the acrylic door option. Of course, there's a protective film over top of it to prevent any scratches in shipping. And you also get a screen option. For us, we're going to go ahead and use the acrylic door, but it's nice to have the screen option if you so want it. This is the bottom portion of the front, so your dam piece. Screen for maximum ventilation. Again, we have a protective film over top of the side panels. The other side panel. Some instructions, and like I mentioned, of course, each part has numbers to correspond with the order you're supposed to put this together in. I actually have one of these enclosures, so I'm a little familiar with how it goes together. Other side panel or back panel, and the top. We'll set the top off to the side for now because we're not going to need it quite yet. And let's get started. Like I mentioned, first you're going to take your bottom piece, and you'll notice that it has these ridges along the sides here. It all pretty much slides together. We'll leave this here just for reference. So I know that first is going to be this piece. This is going to be the one side panel. Hold this thing properly. And you'll see on these, it has a recessed channel. So this lip on this bottom piece slides into that channel. I'll show you here what I mean. From the back side. Whoops. If I lay it down, it'll be a little easier. Just like so. Slide, slide, slide. Get it flush. That's one side. Move to the next side, which would be number 3, as we see here. Lay this down flat. This lines up with this. And again, slide, slide, slide. There's that. We'll stand it back up. Let's readjust this a little bit. So once it stood back up, now we have each side panel along with the back panel. Be sure that when you put the back panel on, this is facing inward towards the inside of the enclosure, because this is ultimately where the top is going to slide into. The back panel can be a little bit trickier because you're trying to slide two things in at once. However, let's see here. There we go. Don't be afraid to manhandle it a little bit. You're not going to break it. It's not going to hurt it. You do have to be a little careful with the channels themselves, because if you bend one of those, you're going to spend some time trying to bend it back the way it needs to be. So now we have side panels, back panel. This bottom tray, it just sits in there. What I would recommend you do, if you're not going to be taking this enclosure apart to transport and it's always going to stay together, what I've done for the other ones is go ahead and silicone a bead all the way around both sides. After that, we're going to take our dam. Make sure, see on this side it has one hole, and on this side there is no hole. This hole is going to be for your door, so make sure that that's pointing in the up direction when you put this together. There we go. Slide it all the way down until it's flush on the bottom with the two side panels. After that, we can go ahead and start sliding our lid on here. One more side note that I feel I should add is if you are going to silicone this bottom tray in, which I have mine upside down at the moment, it's a whole lot easier if you go ahead and do that with the screen top off of here. Once this is all together, your door's on, you're not going to really be able to get up in there with the caulk gun to get this front seam very well. So I've learned that it's better to do it while the top's not even on there. That way you have access to all this stuff, and then go ahead and assemble it the rest of the way. Now this one, same thing, it goes one way. It has these two like hinged locks on the back. There's gonna go on the back side, so once it's in here you can lock those down. Last time I think I put it this direction just to make it a little bit easier. We'll zoom out a little bit so you guys can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. Again, once it gets both sides caught, it's not too bad. Now here, don't push it all the way back. Make sure you leave a little bit hanging off the front, because now what you're gonna do is you're gonna insert the door into the bottom hole. Maybe a little bit more. Slide it a little bit more. Like so. If you push this all the way back, you'll never be able to get this door on here. Ask me how I know that. Pull this up a little bit. There's a hole in the screen, in the lid that this will snap into. And once that's snapped into place, then you can go ahead and pull it all the way back. Doing so will straighten your door up, move your lock out the way. There you go. Clean it up so you can see it a little bit better. And on the back side, as I was mentioning, it has these two little locks here. And those are so you can go ahead and lock it down. That way there's no way for the lid to slide back forward. If you wanted to put the screen door on, you would do the exact same thing I just did with the acrylic. Or if you wanted to switch it out once you had the acrylic door on here, you would simply unlatch these, pull the top forward a hair. That way you could get the acrylic door out, and then you could snap the screen one in place. One more thing I want to add is the best way to get this protective film off is to take a razor blade and go around the edges, all the way around the edges, like so. Bottom. The other side. And once you've done that, find a good starting point. I'm going to use this little bubble here, my starting point. And there you go. There's one on the inside as well. That's why it still looks a little hazy. I'll do that one off camera. Same with these side panels. The side panels have the protective film. So you're going to go all the way around the edges. Then once you've done that, there you go. Pretty straightforward. So as you can see, it's not that difficult to put together. I'm going to give this silicone 24 hours to cure properly. And once it cures, we'll get back together and we'll set this thing up. Alrighty guys, so it's been about 36 hours since we put this enclosure together and siliconed it. So the silicone has had time to dry and gas off. So today we're going to go ahead and set it up. As I mentioned previously, with these enclosures having a screen at the bottom, it's going to be a little difficult to set it up 100% bioactive with the drainage layer and all that good stuff. So what I've opted to do is use this pothos that we found at a local hardware store that actually comes with a cocoa pole attached in the middle for it to vine up. That way it will provide some climbing for the crested gecko as well as coverage for the crested gecko. And we won't have to worry about the water draining out the bottom of the enclosure because it's all contained in this pot here. Besides that, we're going to use some cocoa chips for the substrate. And we have a couple pieces of wood here, some bark, cork round, set this off to the side for now though, as well as our water dish. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start setting this thing up. I'm going to try to do this so you can see me doing it as I do it. Pour this in there. That should be good. Create a little divot in the middle here. Stick this in there like so. Pull the substrate out the way. Push it to the back a little bit. Yeah, I think this is going to work pretty well. I'll grab our bark and our cork round. I think I want to put this cork round in the back actually, so we'll move that. Set this up back here, like so. So you can climb up that, as well as go inside of it if he chooses to. And with this one, kind of want to do this one similarly. With more climbing opportunity, maybe we'll turn it, face it against the wall. So that'll provide the same thing. He can go back behind it and hide if he chooses to, as well as climb up the outside of it. And we can't forget our water dish. Stick that right there in the front where it'll be easy to access. And there we have it. Let me grab a light and we'll hook a light up in so we can actually see the inside of this thing. We'll go ahead and grab a light. Here we have just a little Thrive LED light. This probably won't be the one that we end up using, but just for the purposes of the video to show you the inside of the enclosure, that's what we'll use. Open this back up so you can actually see it a little bit better. And there we have it, guys. I think this is a pretty good example of a low-cost, budget-friendly build for a crested gecko. Once they reach their full adult size, you may want to upgrade them a little bit to a bigger enclosure. However, like I mentioned, ours is a hatchling, so it will be probably another month or two before he even gets put in here. But once he does, I think it'll provide plenty of hiding opportunities, climbing opportunities, and he should be pretty happy. We use the cocoa because that'll help keep the humidity up, as well as the water that will sit in the reservoir in the bottom of this pot. Let's take it back up top and we'll talk a little bit about what I really like about this enclosure and maybe the one or two things that I would like to see on the next batch, the next design from this company. Alrighty guys, so you've buried with me while we've unboxed this enclosure, assembled it, and finally set it up. So now I'd like to take just 1 minute to go over the things I really like about this enclosure and maybe the one or two things I'd like to see differently going forward. First off, the aesthetics. I've always been a really big fan of black on black enclosures, just super sleek and super clean, but they also offer this enclosure with a silver trim and white paneling on the sides. Secondly, the price point. I believe right now on their website, the 12 by 12 by 18 that I have here is $79.99. However, I just checked as of yesterday, and they're offering an 8% discount on all their products, and that does include free shipping. Not to mention, these can be bought in bulk orders. They have an option of 1 piece, 3 pieces, 5 pieces, 10 pieces, and each tier going up provides you a little bit more of a discount. Thirdly, not only do they offer this in the 12 by 12 by 18, but they also have the 8 by 8 by 12 and the 18 by 18 by 36. So you have a couple different size options there, depending on what species you plan on putting in here. Another way I can see these enclosures being utilized is by Reptile Expo vendors, simply because they're easy to throw together, take back down, and store away flat pack somewhere. I had a litter of 11 Amazon tree boas born about a month and a half or so ago. So once we have them all established, we will certainly be taking them to a local expo of ours and offering them to the public. With that being said, I'll probably be ordering the 8 by 8 by 12 versions of these to set those up in as displays when we go. Now let's move on to the one thing I'd like to see differently maybe in the future. While I understand the mesh screen here at the bottom for ventilation, a lot of reptile keepers nowadays are moving towards those bioactive setups, and with it being mesh, it makes that a little bit hard to do. Maybe in the future they could offer an acrylic dam down here as well as the screen, so you could choose which one that you would like to use, just like they do with the door here, and then add some ventilation in the sides. So if you do use an acrylic door with an acrylic bottom, you still have great ventilation coming in through the sides. Outside of that, I feel like you really can't complain for the price point. If you're interested in picking one of these up, you can go over to TOXIRIUM.com, or you can go over to my Instagram page, elevated_ectotherms. Click on my link tray and I'll have an affiliate link there that you can go through and purchase. It doesn't cost you any extra, it just helps me out a little bit, and I deeply appreciate it. I want to thank you guys for sticking around while we review the TOXIRIUM hybrid enclosure and the 12 by 12 by 18 size, and I hope to see you guys again soon.